Hi, and welcome to my whiskey den. We're here for our New Year's Eve event, and like usual, I was going to say we have a couple people. We have Mike Lissick. We're going to bring him on right now. He's from Kansas City. He does a lot of good work for us, I was going to say. And then we also have Benjamin Eves. He's from Carolina. We're happy to have him here today as well, too, as usual. Now we're going to also be bringing in one of the first people here that I met in the tribe, actually personally, was Jonathan. Oops, sorry, I left that thing for Ben up there. That's the problem with all the extra buttons. And I was going to say, we just hooked up yesterday and had a good day that day. We also have Jeremy Sims here. Oops, why didn't he go on? With that sixth person, you get that extra little row. And there's Sims from Cask Strength. Glad to have him here. And the last set of people we have here at the very beginning of stuff are, why isn't that on here? Is from Silver Fox Distillery. It's Mike and Lisa up in Canada. So we have a little bit all over the place. Well, of course, Sims is from Australia, but Mike and Lisa are up in Canada. They have the Silver Fox Distillery. They're in the process of starting. I may be pushing their start time a little ahead of what they want. And they also have a YouTube channel still in Canada. They just released another video today. It's a really nice channel. If you guys want to learn about the distilling process, you should check that out. But we're all here tonight because we want to find out about people's top 5 whiskeys that they had this year. And that can be any variant of it, top 5 surprising whiskeys, top 5 ones that you ultimately love no matter what. Whatever the reasons are for it, they're the ones that you like this year the best. So, first off, how is everyone doing?
Fantastic here.
Good. Got a nice quiet night at the house.
Well,
it's already 2020. It's fantastic.
That's right. Jeremy's coming to us from the future.
Yep.
He says the next year is good so far.
Good to hear.
Fantastic.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
next year's looking a little lower end for Jeremy this time.
Just a touch.
But we're doing excellent. It's New Year's Eve. We're here at the Distillery. We're probably not going to be leaving tonight, and we get the sample.
Oh, that's true. And are you going to be pulling from the parrot a little bit tonight at some point?
Yeah, I figure with 5 of us each, we're just going to pass out here.
That's very fair.
No, not the first time.
Not from drinking, but just being here.
And I am starting with, I think, I poured a Limousine Rye, which is from Cambridge, Wisconsin at Dancing Goat Distillery. They do it a little bit different. They age it in bourbon barrels, and then when they're gonna finish it, they put it in Limousine French oak casks, but they use a Solera system, so they're always leaving a little bit in there, always putting a little bit in. So they admit it'll be a little bit different, but they are going for kind of a similar flavor profile. What are you guys drinking tonight? Or so far?
Well, I'm going to drop in here first. Since you're having a rye, I'm going to go with the Canadian, and this is the Lot 40. It's a special cask strength release, and this is part of what's called the Northern release that's done by Corby. And every year they put out 5 different types. This is one. I do have another one here from this release this year. It's a numbered bottle. It's 57% alcohol, and it is absolutely fantastic. I think the best description for this would be an absolute vanilla bomb. We picked this up the other day, and I don't think it's going to last terribly long.
You don't hear much of a vanilla bomb. That's kind of interesting. I dig that.
For 100% rye, yes.
Mike, what are you drinking?
Actually, just finishing up the Kilhoman STR.
Oh, you son of a gun!
That's
as polite as I'm going to be about it.
It's really nice. It's been a very slow sip. Every pour of it, it's just there. It's pretty intense, but yeah, it's I savor the hell out of it every time I have it.
Very nice. Ben, what's up? What are you doing in South Carolina?
Well, I started the evening with a little Deanston, then sampled some Pappy, and I'm just going straight to the deep end with the Octomore right now. So.
Is you going to be able to come back? That's the problem.
I don't know if you ever come back from the Octomore.
Yeah.
That's true.
You don't.
And you don't. Jonathan, what are you sipping on right now?
So, despite the recommendations of not doing that, I saved this little Pappy that was left in my room last night.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
fair.
Some whiskey spirit. As soon as you left, I covered it. Had some. I was like, I'm going to save a little bit for tomorrow.
Yeah, that's fair. I like that.
Yeah.
And poor Sims isn't drinking because he made an oath to his channel, and he has to wait because the liquor stores haven't even opened yet. But
it's a rough 2 weeks ahead of me. That's all I'm going to say.
So do you actually have to wait? Well, Jeremy started a whiskey challenge where he is going to. Well, I'll let you explain it. Why am I going to explain it? You're here. Sorry.
So basically, very limited budget. So a weekly budget of 20 Australian dollars, which is around 13-15 US. That's my weekly budget, and I have to build a collection from that, and it's a collection completely from scratch. So there's no glassware, there's no of your normal whiskey paraphernalia like ice balls or any of that. Everything has to be purchased from that weekly budget. And yeah, so I literally, as of now, even though I do have whiskey, I have nothing to drink because part of that challenge is everything that I do is going to be from that collection. So yeah.
And that's pretty ballsy. So. Like, I liked it. It's one of those things like by the time you get to February, you should be pretty safe. But the first couple of weeks are going to be a bit tight.
Yep. And it's going to take at least a year to make.
That's true.
So what's the going rate for Canadian Mist there in Australia?
They don't allow it. It's a dangerous good.
That's all too lucky. All too lucky.
Yeah.
It still could show up in the mail, though. You know, Brad's a good friend like that.
I'm more worried about Weddles doing it personally, but yeah.
That is true. Since Jonathan, I know he's got some friends down here and he's out for New Year's Eve and he just came back in for this, I'm going to hit you first.
Sure.
What are the top 5 whiskeys you drank this year, or the ones that you like, whatever the criteria is?
Sure. Yeah, I spent a little bit of time thinking of it, and finally, up until a few minutes ago, came across a few. I recently, maybe a month ago, had Old Forester Bottom Bond. Definitely became a quick favorite of mine. I had it at a bar in Milwaukee not too many weeks ago. And earlier in the year was Larceny, and I've come to realize fairly early on in my whiskey journey that wheated bourbons are definitely in my wheelhouse for sure.
Nice.
I had a couple of our whiskey tastings here in Milwaukee. A buddy of mine picked up a Belvini American Oak Casts, which I'm a huge Belvini fan, or at least I've become one. Was another one of mine. Was at another Thanksgiving type party thing, and a buddy, we started talking whiskey, of course. Brews his own beer, but then we started talking whiskey, and he's like, "Oh, I've got Whistle Pig." I was like, "Oh, do you now?" And as Patrick and I were talking yesterday, I'm not huge into rye, but after having a Whistle Pig, I definitely like some rye.
It's nice when you find that one that changes your mind.
Yeah, it really does. Yeah, I'm like, I probably wouldn't have a lot of them out there, but after having that, it was definitely something I enjoyed. And then this summer, most of us got together and did a blind tasting of 5 different Jim Beams. And I suspected the double oaked would be my top favorite, being that I like the wood taste or the wood note strongly. And I correctly picked 3 out of 5 correct just by nosing in the color. So I was very impressed that Jim Beam double oaked was the one that I picked out. This is my favorite. It's readily available, good price range. So those would be my top 5 that I've had this year.
I like. He doesn't pick any of the ones I gave him yesterday that are expensive. Not a one. Not a one. Not
Well,
a Patty
the Belvini
15.
isn't cheap, but I haven't paid for it. I didn't buy it.
But I respect that the idea behind that. That's good though. But I mean, you got to pick from what you were talking about. So that's a nice list. The Belvini, a lot of people like. So there's nothing to argue there. I was the only one I'm not, and it's everyone's profile is different. Is the Larceny? That's the only one that I isn't down my alley.
I found that to be a bit more controversial, a bit more polarizing than others.
Mm-hmm. That's cool. That's not a bad list. I don't mind that list.
Yeah.
I feel like Pappy and Old Fitzgerald are gonna be upset with you when they find out you just like said no to them. But that's totally respectable. Well, I think, and question for everyone: if you have had any of the Pappies, how overrated do you think they are? I mean, they're very good, but they're not. In my mind, they're not like the mind-blowing thing that you're usually expecting from all the hype.
Not anymore.
To do it.
Yeah, they're not like they used to be. 12 used to be one of my favorite bourbons, but this is like 10 years ago or more. And I love finding it because I can find it all the time. And I've had the only one I haven't been able to buy the rye or buy the 23 way back, but it's not the same as it was. It's a big hype train on Buffalo Trace. It tastes good, but it's not the same as it was. And let the people spend all their money on it. Hopefully they'll leave the other good stuff on the shelf.
That's very true. Very true. It's kind of what I was thinking. I mean, I got it at a lottery, so I wasn't going to complain. So I paid like $20 over MSRP. So I was fine, totally fine by that. But I never would have gone out and spent $1,200 on a bottle. I could have had a whole collection.
Yeah.
For that much. So
I think that's really kind of an interesting thing, though, is everyone fangirls, for want of a better term, over, Pappy. They go out, they seek Pappy, and they are completely oblivious to a lot of the deep stuff that doesn't have a name, leaves it there for the, that sort of 1-2% of bourbon whiskey fans that enjoy a good, bourbon. So it is kind of, you don't get to get Pappy really cheap, but there's plenty of really good shit that is a lot cheaper that if people were aware of, you would have that same supply problem.
Yeah, and it would disappear just as fast, just like other things do.
Yep.
So I just saw someone go flying past the back of Benjamin's screen like a ghost.
Yeah, that would be my daughter.
Are you sure?
From the kids' room to get to the other room. So.
She knows the rules.
Right.
That's awesome.
I like a flash.
That is. Well, Jonathan, I'm sorry, but it's with the list that I have trying to scrunch in here in an hour and a half, I'm going to have to let you go because I think I got to let someone else get in because I don't think I can back up more than 6 people.
Works for me.
But I appreciate you stopping in, tossing out your top 5, and I'll see you in like 2 weeks when the Packers, I don't know.
Back. Yeah. Excellent. No, appreciate you having me on.
Yeah. Thanks for stopping by and thanks for stopping in yesterday. So we'll see you in a couple weeks.
Happy New Year, guys. We'll see you next year.
All right. Cheers,
Happy New Year, y'all.
Yeah.
New Year.
And seeing Patrick's really gone. He's back now.
Yeah, well, he exited himself, and he was on the button I was pressing, so all of a sudden I was gone. I didn't want that to happen. But I was going to say Arthur is supposed to pop in here in a couple minutes. So in the meantime, do Mark or Lisa want to go through some of their top 5 whiskeys that they had this year?
I'm just having it's an Rotgut rum limited edition. It was aged in some bourbon barrels, ex-bourbon barrels, and then aged again in some rum casks, like rum barrels.
Very nice.
A little bit of a tropical pineapple aftertaste.
Did anyone of you folks go to Ardbeg Day?
Oh God.
No.
It was, you know what? It was a thing in Toronto, and it was fantastically well done. We were a little worried at the beginning. The beginning was a little rough. They gave you these drink tickets.
I didn't go.
Lisa didn't go. Good thing. So they had the Ardbeg 10, which we have some here as well. It's one of Lisa's favorites. But the drink tickets got you either an Ardbeg-based pina colada or Caesar Canna, but you would call it, what would they be called?
Bloody Mary?
Bloody Mary, that's it. So
Yeah, pina colada.
Pina colada with our Big Ten. Oh no.
I couldn't deal with that. That'd be a bit much. But I'm not a coconut fan, so the Bloody Mary is what I got excited about. I would drink that coconut one. I'd probably stick away from.
You know, the Bloody Mary was probably the better of the two, but yeah, it still wasn't very good.
That's fair. I switched over. I'm trying to figure out that last slot on the list. So this is the 1960s version of George Dickel. I'm trying to weigh out between like 3 or 4 of them here, and maybe by the end I'll have a decision on what the 5th one is on it. Sims, did you even come up with a list on the back of that receipt?
Yes. So I'm going to start with some Ugadal, because any good whiskey list that starts with Ugadal is a good list, right?
You're never going to say it's bad.
No. From their Teeling wine cask, I was immensely impressed with that. That was a little bit of a chameleon based on what you were eating or drinking beforehand. You could pick some fantastic flavors out of that. And that was just delightful. Nika from the barrel, because that's effectively probably about the last year we can get it in Australia. So we've been able to get it in Australia for years. When it launched in the US market, it kind of slowly got pulled out of here. I've always enjoyed it as a high proof Japanese sipper. It's delightful, especially on a hot day. Bizarrely, Starwood twofold. Partly because my initial review probably was a little bit of a disservice to it, but I also think it was probably a little bit fresh into the bottle. It needed a little bit of time to sit, just get a little bit less aggressive and stuff. I think it was proofed down and bottled in a hurry for that first release that I got. But that's another chameleon. That would go from like a coconut icing sometimes to these really interesting meaty flavors at times. Again, you went from say an Ardbeg to Starwood, and it was just all sweet and pastry and everything. But if you went from bacon of all things into it, you'd get almost popcorn flavors. And if you went from something sweet, you'd get these really nice meaty tastes. And it was a really, really nice one to sort of sit and, explore a tasting plate with. Really, really, for a budget thing designed for blending, it's actually a really good drop.
Yeah.
And then the last one, I've gone Ardbeg 10, because it's going to be at least 2 months before I can afford another bottle of that. And it is just a solid. The one thing I think about the Ardbeg range is this. Look at that. You're just a lovely man, Mark. The one thing about the Ardbeg range that I think sometimes gets overlooked is you can go explore the whole range, and you're going to find flavors you like, you're going to find flavors you don't. Then when you go back to the core product, it doesn't disappoint. It's honest. Whereas if you go to some of the other Islay whiskies, you explore their range, and then you go back to their base product, you get left with like this lacking, sense. That's just, personal opinion on that one. But yeah, so those are my 5. How's that for a quick receipt?
Yeah.
That's an excellent receipt.
Nice.
That's good. And give me 1 second here. We got Arthur here. We're going to pop him on for a second. He's from Texas. And we're happy to have him on. How's Arthur doing tonight?
Evening, everybody. How y'all doing?
Good. How are you, Arthur?
Hey, Arthur.
Yeah.
I'm doing good.
Good to see you, Ben. Patrick.
Yeah, except for my chat thing isn't working. Other than that, I'm doing fine. Or at least the little chat on my screen here for bringing up stuff on YouTube. Other than that, I'm doing good. And I like the Starwood as well too, Sims. So that's a nice choice.
Yeah. I'm curious, what does it cost in Australia for the Starwood?
So I think it was about $60, so about $50 US for the twofold.
Really?
Yeah.
I picked up the twofold for $30 near me, and the Nova. I like that twofold a lot. It's very subtle and very nice. But that Nova is kind of growing on me. But I was really surprised how cheap I got it.
It's a point of disappointment. I mean, look, they want to break into the US market. They've got a fantastic reception so far. That is where the money is. The product, apart from those initial releases, doesn't tend to fly off the shelves as it does in the US. So we get priced because it's premium product. It's competing against other premium craft whiskey that gets priced in that high market. So yeah, I mean, it's disappointing that our local product isn't so cheap and readily available.
Yeah,
I can understand the business point of view why they've done their pricing like that. So
I know there was one other one I asked Jeremy about earlier this year, and you said that it was, and it looked ridiculously priced. It was like over $100 for a stupid bottle. And you're like, that's not too crazy here, sadly.
Yeah, that might have been the lime burners, I think.
Yeah, I think so. I don't remember, but Arthur, quick question. Oh, I didn't mean to catch you in mid grabbing something. What are you drinking tonight?
Go ahead. So I actually got my top 5 for 2019. I've got, let me see if I can flip the camera real quick.
Ooh.
There it goes.
I'm seeing a couple of balconies on there.
Yeah, so from left to right, we've got the Balcones Peated Texas Single Malt, the Balcones Broke Texas Single Malt, the Balcones Juntos Texas Single Malt. That one's probably number 1. It's kind of iffy between that and the peated. Then we got the Iron Root Republic Icor. Love that stuff. And then Elijah Tech Barrel Proof C919.
Those are all good choices. I can't yell at you for being a Texas fanboy because those are all wonderful choices.
Yeah.
And I wish I had got to try some more of them. Especially the Icor and the other one you just mentioned, the one you would have picked as number 1. I saw your review on that, and I was thoroughly thinking that I should grab one of those bottles somehow.
You know, what's really funny is all the choices there are Texas locale, and they're fairly local. But I'm looking around, I'm thinking all of us have tried almost every one of those.
Close. Oh, there you go. Yeah, those are excellent choices. I was going to say 2 or 3 of them are I would put on my list, but I haven't gotten a hold of the Icor or 1 or 2 of the Balcones. It hasn't worked out for kind of heading that way, unfortunately. But and that's because we don't have. Yeah, I might be able to handle that. It's just we don't have super great distribution up in Wisconsin for it. Like we got the Harbinger, luckily, like earlier this year in February, and then Balcones you have to go down to Chicago to grab. So I'm not always a fan of a 3-hour hike to go pick up a bottle. But when you're down there, I'm more than willing to grab a couple.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, that's
the fact that the peated tonight was bottled down. There's no more left in this one. I still have another backup bottle, but this one's finally gone. That was the fastest bottle I slayed. That one was done in 2 months. Most of my bottles last at least 6.
It's nice when they go, well, when you find one that's good enough to kind of tear through like that. You don't usually mean to, but it'll go fast.
Yeah, no doubt on that one especially.
And Brad, I'm not spoiled. 3 hours is still far to go pick up Texas whiskey. Just because
you don't get to complain, Patrick. While I'm on the stream, you don't get to complain.
I wasn't even complaining. Brad was the one complaining, and I'm like, you magically have whiskeys show up in Canada, Brad.
Yeah.
Show up there. So yeah, but that's once again, I'm liking people's lists so far. I haven't found anything that I would rule out or be afraid of. I mean, the Lawrencey one, that's just me, but I can't. That'd be like someone putting up a super black licoricey rye, and I would still just Mike and Ben know I'm not a fan of that. Like I'll still rate it well, but I'm not a fan of it. And Scott jumped in the chat. Hey, how's it going, Scott? He's got a show, My Bourbon Journey. You should check that out if you see that. Like I said before, for some reason the chat's not showing up on my StreamYard, so that's why I'm looking down at the phone every now and then to catch up with everyone.
So Patrick.
Yes.
You may have defaulted to private chat. Click live comments.
I am on live comments. It's not in private chat, so I don't know. Oh. And every other time, it has worked out fantastic. But
that's right.
I'm not going to freak out about it now. I'm just going to keep drinking. So, and like we said before, we have Mike's over there up in Canada. Mike, what are your top 5 whiskeys of the year? What's going on?
Who?
Sorry, Mark. Sorry about that. That's what happens when you're looking up and down and left and right for a second.
I see Mike there. Mike's being really quiet.
Yeah, both of you should slap me around for that.
When did Mike transport to Canada?
Yeah.
Sorry about that, the both of you. And on that note, I'm going to grab a new bottle.
You know what? Earlier on this chat, we were talking about Old Pappy, and I can't justify the price for what it is anymore. Used to be great. 10 years ago, it was wonderful. But I was in the spring of this year, I picked up this, which was the Weller's Antique Gold 107. Mm-hmm. This literally shocked the hell out of me. It was in Canada. It was cheap. It was $35, and you know when you grab a $35 bottle of candy, you're kind of going, ooh. After my first sip, I ran back and grabbed 5 more bottles. Yeah, now it's around 68, 70. Yeah. But you know, it's not my first wheated bourbon, but it was impressive enough that I now have 2 wheated bourbons sitting in the fermenters.
You did mention that. Sitting there yesterday, I was like, you had them all moving pretty good.
Yep.
5 moving, so that is it isn't nice when you find something that kind of spurs you on. Well, you can try all sorts of stuff up there, but just kind of gets you excited about everything else going on.
Well, and that's it. It was like we do tend to go, well, once again, being Canadian, we tend to go with a rye, and we use rye as that spice note, but the red wheat, which at Maker's Mark's also done from that, and it is fantastic. So we're going to try and see if we can get close.
I like that. I like that aspiration. I do have a problem, Arthur. I'm jamming people in and out here really quick, so I'm gonna have to let you go because I gotta bring on Jeffery Petrone and Ed here in the next couple minutes. But I appreciate you coming on. I love the top 5. I'm jealous. I'll cut a hold of you. I'll probably send you something. I definitely want to taste some Texas stuff, so I always do that. So you have a good New Year's, and thanks for stopping out. Cheers, Arthur.
All
right.
Cheers, Patrick.
Cheers, bro.
Happy New Year's, Arthur.
Cheers, Jeremy. Cheers, y'all in Canada. Y'all all take care.
Thank you. And then what did I do here? Ban. Holy good. I just looked on that. I've kicked people out of the studio. I've never banned someone. I don't know. That's a scary thing to have on there, to ban someone. I don't want to do that.
Oh, I've used it. Don't worry.
Can you bring people back? Are they gone for good? We don't know. We'll find out. All right. And on that note, I'm going to bring Jeffery Petrone on. He's from the Northeast, and I'm sure he has a little bit different list than some of the rest of us, stuff around there. So good evening, Jeffrey. Good to have you on. How you doing?
Pretty good. How are all of y'all?
Good. How are you, Jeffrey?
I am solid.
Well, if you were gaseous, that would be a bit of a problem.
I am plasma, Jeremy. So should I just dive right into these top 5?
I'll let you do it. I'm excited to hear everyone else's, and I'm sorry I don't want to be rushing people, but I don't want to eat up everyone's whole evening by the end of the night either. And I know you and Ben are on the little bit hour ahead. We don't care where Jeremy's at because I have no idea. You're like 8-10 hours ahead of me or something.
And we're the next guy to be in the future.
Yeah, it's 12:30 in the future. It's great.
And I don't even think they've started using real money where Germany is. So
No, it's all plastic. It's great.
anyway, top 500. We start with two relatively more affordable picks. The Legion put out by Beam Centauri. It's on the list primarily just because I thought it was an exemplary job of blending in just bourbon in general, but of the wine and sherry aspects of it in an interesting way. It's not blow your mind, but it is rather accessible, at least where I am. And I have found it is a quality pour for people that are less interested in the heavy hitters. Of course, then there is also, got to get used to the camera, there's also George Dickel, 13 years old, bottled in bond. It is a quality, at least, I believe the suggested price is around $35, $40. And for a 13-year-old Tennessee whiskey, I find that to be just, and it's also fairly tasty. And then it just jumps up dramatically to Old Carter American whiskey, which I know Scott from My Bourbon Journey is a big fan of. This is batch 2. It is, of course, a cask strength, 69.6% alcohol. Good stuff. A probably impossible find for a lot of the people here, Tobias and the Angel. I really like this. It's almost gone. It's a what?
I forgot I had that this year. Shit. Let's screw up my list.
It is. I forgot it came out this year.
For number 5, Patrick. You were still looking for a number 5.
I am, but now I might have to look for 2.
So it's very close to, I'm not sure if you can see, but it pretty much goes only up to here. So it's on its last.
It's on its last where you got to think about drinking it before it goes bad.
I will. I'm probably, if it does seem to start to make my suspicions run amok, I'll start pouring it into sample containers. But probably my favorite whiskey of the year so far would have to be something that I'm not even holding up to the camera properly. Westland's Peat Week, the 5th edition of it. Everything from how they designed their bottles to, of course, the liquid inside of it. But it's a great mix of just kind of this honey maltiness, at least for me at first, that just kind of coats the tongue in this sickly sweet syrup. And it just quickly fades into a peatiness that isn't overpowering, but still gives, I would say, a good impression, understanding of peat to a certain extent, especially in terms of American whiskeys. So that was the rapid fire list.
I like the rapid fire list. The Westland too. I didn't get to have the Garyana they have, but that was at the Still America this most recent year. But I'm happy they're showing up again this year because I like the whole lineup that they have. So I'm pretty excited about that. Seeing them back again.
And I was also a big fan of Ardbeg Supernova, but I only just got that. So.
The year's not over yet, Jeffrey. That counts.
I could probably just keep listing things. It's very difficult for me to just pick 5.
Oh, well, I think Mike was saying earlier, he's like, well, I think I could expand to 10 without a problem.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I had plenty of honorable mentions. I mean, I could go in there easily. But Jeffrey, I'm curious. With that Dickel, have you had the Uncle Nearest, the 1856?
I have not had the Uncle Nearest 1856, but I have had. There it is. The Uncle Nearest 1820, which is a single barrel of Uncle Nearest. and it is bottled at cask strength.
Right. I know they're using Dickel in the blend on that. I'm curious how it compares.
It's comparatively, I definitely prefer the Uncle Nearest. I have in the past of recent events compared George Dickel to the Bushmills of Tennessee whiskey, if that makes any sense.
Okay.
If you find a sourced Tennessee whiskey through a brand like Bushmills or like a smaller company called Old Forge, which I have a bottle of, it's not especially that great, but I do enjoy it for what it is. Both of those are George Dickel. And at the same time, even though it's out there maintaining a good spot on the marketplace, especially with its own brand, I feel like it doesn't get quite the amount of hype as, say, like a Jack Daniels or a Jameson does in comparison.
Right.
Not that that's a perfect.
I'm just expecting him to show up now. He's got the teleporter. He's not only in the move position, he can come to the future.
Like Lisa disappeared, and he's like, "Hey, look at the TARDIS here. Things could happen. Either that, or the cult pops out of it. One or the other."
Oh, no, that'd be good. That'd be worthwhile. You know, the fan's going, and it's kind of hard to hear. So Lisa's gone off to make some snacks for us. So I thought I'd pop you closer.
I dig that.
I'm really enjoying what the hell's going on behind Benjamin.
There was a point
I don't
there
know
where
if anyone else has noticed it, but it's hilarious.
There was a point there, I swear, evolution happened because someone crawled past and then they were walking. It was fantastic.
When you have 4 kids, you see evolution happen before your eyes, bro.
I think I've seen all of them now.
That's awesome. Hold on here. Let's see. Oops. All right. Well, I was going to say, Jeff, I want to thank you for coming on. I'm going to have to talk to you more about that Dickel another day because I'm intrigued by how like that 13 year is only at like 35, 40. And I've heard some other people say really good stuff about it.
It's the MSRP, I believe it's in that area, but one place actually near me had it jacked all the way up to 70. And that was
holy shit.
That really pissed me off.
Yeah, I can see how that would like cut down the whole excitement of being on, like going to get it.
Yes, and the reason I found out about it was someone who I respect wanted to get it as a gift, asked me. I said, no, that's a horrible idea. And then they did it anyway.
So Jeffrey, just name names. I mean, there's only 6 of us here. No one else is going to know.
Yeah.
All right, it was Sean.
All right.
From the bad place.
He's been called out. I like it. But I appreciate you coming on, Jeffrey. We'll get you on another stream coming up in the new year here. So we can get a little bit more in-depth talk with some of the stuff you have out on the East Coast. I got Ed trying to hop in here in a couple minutes, so I want to get him on before we slide over to some more people. But can't thank you enough for stopping in. Thanks a lot, man.
Anytime. Hopefully it's not my clone.
And Ed will be here in a second, I think, because I saw him hop in or out once or twice there, so he'll be back in a minute. Okay. He'll be back in a second. He's just trying to hop on the Wi-Fi at the place instead of doing it data. He's jumping in from a party. Him and Eric are out and about at a party, and he said he'd stop in for a couple of minutes. So I'll take people up on that, and hopefully there's nothing pickly wherever they're at, because otherwise Eric is going to leave him.
Look, if Erica hadn't left him after his advent calendar shit, I think he's safe.
Those were so awesome.
Oh, that's the best advent ever. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It's too bad he didn't have more time to do the last few. He had to do them all in one day, but yeah, no, that was excellent.
I was just a little bit worried that he then tried to hide under the tree in that last costume and claimed that he was Erica's present. That's my only concern.
I think next year he should do Advent, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, Ramadan. Just go ahead and hit all of them and offend everybody while he's at it. Because
some of them were ones I had, like, remember I had that type of like issue too with a couple of things. I was like, yeah, I remember that. I'm like, oh, you're gonna bring all that up. Like, your mom is gonna be pissed.
I was kind of thinking he pretty much offended most on the way through.
Yeah. Why quit?
Oh, hey, give me 1 second. I'll be back with you guys. Keep if anyone wants to shoot off the other top 5, I just need 1 second. I'm gonna mute this. I'll be right back over in a second. Okay.
No problem. So
I mean, he does realize he can just remove himself from the stream, but you know, it's
So
I'll do that then. Hold on a second.
all right. So I already talked about the Weller's antique. That was really, to me, that was the shocker of this year, and that's why it made my list. And you know, for a product that's something I want to get close to for my distillery, that's great. Although I do want to have our own little touch on it, of course, with anything. This was also another bit of a shock. Another Canadian.
Oh.
Teresa speaks very highly of Goodham and Wort.
Right. I'm not really a huge fan of it. I remember this as when I was young. But I thought, you know, this is part of the northern release this year from Corby, and I thought, well, okay, it's part, and it's a 4-grain blend with the red winter wheat again, and I'm finding I'm falling into a bit of a pattern here with the red wheat. So that's another one that was fantastic.
So is there any red wheat planned for the fermenter soon, or?
It's in fermenter 4.
Oh, no.
Only 1,200 liters. Yeah.
So we just the trend is basically, oh, what's this grain? This is nice. Throw it in the fermenter.
Let's try that out. The STR, of course. You can't go wrong with that one.
Yeah.
You know, it's a fantastic little flavoring. So that's on mine. And then the other one. So we went to Ardbeg Day, but before we did that, we met up with the guys at Cast Strength. And we
I don't remember this.
Yeah. Well,
big mistake.
Some of the people from Cast Strength. You know, it's of course, you know, Brad drives in. Well, I shouldn't say he drives in. His car drove in and brought him with him. So while we're there, we're having some tastings as well. And I thought, you know, of that evening, but even before we went to the Ardbeg days, of that, this was fantastic.
Oh, the
Glen Park was 21. So I had that there, and within a week I had a bottle. I had to order it. So that was also a fantastic one for this year. So that's my 5. My 5 are a little different than Lisa's, although I like the Isla style of scotches. I am more of a sweet vanilla type of drinker. Lisa is the iodine and salt, and you know, take a dead fish should beat me in the face. But you know, we all like our different styles. Somehow, the oysters have arrived.
Yum.
And Patrick's back.
He hasn't unmuted himself, but he is back.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're back now. Sorry about that. It's my buddy Sean, who was on a first of the couple of videos we did. But I was gonna say he lives down the street, and we've been friends for a while. And he's the one local friend that actually kind of takes the whiskey tasting a little more serious than some of the other people that we hang out with on a Friday night. Would that be accurate?
We're close enough in distance that I put up with Pat.
Yeah. Some of the other people on Fridays will they try to taste it, but they're doing it in shots every now and then while we're tasting it,
as opposed to actually tasting it. They're just drinking it.
But you know, they're working their way into being a little more nuanced every time. But it's a step. But he kind of jumped into it a little bit better than other people. And also in a second here, we're gonna pull on. Ed's working on that Wi-Fi connection, but I see that Josh and Gretchen from Texas Whiskey Life have popped in here, so we'll bring them in.
Hey, buddy.
Hey.
Hey.
How are you guys doing this New Year's Eve?
Good, man. I feel like I haven't talked to you in forever.
Yeah, well, you're busy as hell now. Besides your channel, your whole iron. Oh shit, they're gone. I didn't know.
It's so busy they play.
Oh, you're back now.
There you go.
I blame it on Jeremy.
Probably that Australian internet.
I have
leave you behind it.
It's one of the few.
I've seen Bradley clear in the chat. I'm sure that's his fault.
It's probably Brad's fault. Yeah.
I'll take it. It is my fault. But yeah, it's good to have you guys on. And if you guys don't know, they're besides their review channel and of Texas Whiskey Life, where they go all over Texas, they are also reps for Iron Root. Do you remember them? Because we had Harbinger the same day we went to Distill America when we were at Total Wine.
I remember that.
That's the only one we get here. I've been nagging, but I also don't want to drive 2 hours to get it all the time. But I'm waiting for some. I see all the other releases, and I am jealous.
Yeah. Well, we've got one of these sitting here for you. You know that. So
I know you got a level 1 Evolution barrel, the first one and the second one. I might as well wait to the third one because I'm afraid I'm going to drink too much of the first 2 and not have this fair comparison to give everybody else.
That's right.
You just steal Jeremy's. It's okay.
Oh yeah.
The only bottle I have there, Gretchen, is the Icor.
That's true. Yeah, I'm losing track now. I need to develop a spreadsheet or something to keep track of whose Iron Root is whose.
Yeah. I see Brad's in the chat, and he's got like 15 bottles down here on the floor that we need to show.
Yeah, he does.
We need to somehow get to headquarters.
I'm just gonna stop back out at the Whiskey Conservatory and start loading bottles into a bag. Like, I think these are all mine.
You're just gonna write your name on it. They don't know any better. Just write your name on it. It's your bottle then.
I feel like they are writing names on bottles though.
Yeah, I've been using painter's tape and like just Sharpie to try and keep track. Who's got what?
Easily removable.
That's always good. But since you guys hopped in here, do one of you guys want to go with what your top 5 whiskeys you've had this year are? I'm sure it'd be pretty interesting.
We we did a list of our favorite things that came out of Texas, of course, and then we have another list if you guys end up talking, Scotch and Irish and anything else. But for Texas stuff, we of course had to go with what you already mentioned, the Iron Root Icor.
Sorry.
Which is, that was purple corn, bloody butcher corn, and some of the low rye mash bill done in French oak and done at cask strength, 4- and 5-year-old barrels. Really fantastic stuff. That's what she's drinking right now.
Sold out in 2 hours and 15 minutes at our 5-year anniversary party, and Robert and Jonathan did not believe that we would have Black Friday lines. And at 10:30, there was a line in the parking lot. The parking lot was starting to get full, and we didn't open the doors until 1. So it was pretty exciting. Probably about an hour into it, they realized that they needed to stop selling 2 bottles per person real quick, and went to 1 bottle. And
I saw y'all had Arthur Lopez on here earlier.
Yeah, he was the first one in the parking lot.
That dude showed up. I went outside. I was like, "Hey man, we don't open until 1 o'clock." He's like, "Yeah, I want to make sure I got here on time."
Yeah,
because you had a lot. Didn't Scott from Toss drive down as well? So
Scott drove down. Yeah, a lot of people came. The night before, there was an event for the Texas Whiskey Trail. What was it, at the Cambria Hotel downtown? So there was all the next North Texas distilleries that went, and we were able to pour for a lot of the people that were there staying at the Cambria. So it was a great trail event too.
Yeah.
Give me 1 second.
I'm a huge Iron Root fanboy, so I've got a bottle of Icor coming my way in the pipeline.
No, man, you're always a huge supporter, so thank you. Appreciate that. And Mike as well. Mike's a big fan. I know that.
Yes, I am.
Jeremy is a big fan, except for he hasn't tasted it yet. And I don't think Mark and you guys have you have any from Vito or Brad yet?
Oh yeah, we've had quite a few of them.
Oh, nice.
We don't have Jeremy's address.
It's just Australia, and that's the problem.
It's Jeremy.
South Carolina first. I'll make sure it gets to him.
It's a 375 all of a sudden that's traveling across the world instead of the 750. For 1 second, I'm going to pop Jeremy off. He was nice enough to hold on, and I'm going to bring Ed and Erica on from the Rotgut Review. So hold on a second. They're at a party, so I'm going to pop them on. I don't mean to cut you guys off, but
Nervous to see what Ed
hear shit.
Oh, I brought them on.
That looks about right for Ed.
Oh, hello.
Hi, Ed.
Oh my! Somebody.
Good to see you. Hey. Look at who's here.
Hi.
Hey.
Thank you for having us.
Happy New Year.
I can't hear anything.
Yeah, we can't hear you at all. So we're gonna run down our list of top 5 whiskeys really quick, and hopefully you can hear us because we can't hear you at all. So number 1, before Cargis Fino Cask. Yeah. 2, Ardbeg Supernova.
Yeah.
3, Little Book Chapter 3.
That's not for me, but yeah.
That's mine. Number 4, what's yours? You do one.
That Spirit Dog.
Oh, still dog out of Colorado.
Yeah.
Mine was I'm trying to think of what it was. I had it in my head. Oh, it was the red breast cast Dreamcast.
Thank you for that.
Yes, it was Brad McClare.
Thank you, Brad
But
McClare,
he sent us
whatever you
both options. He sent us both the first one. So he is a god among men. But yeah, we were just popping in real quick. Good to see you guys. So take care. Happy New Year.
Appreciate it. You guys have a good rest of the day. Party. All right, now give me a second. Sorry about that, guys. He was having problems popping on, so I just want to get him in and out quick. And there's Sims back. Oh shit!
Sorry. He's wearing a shirt. That's probably a good thing.
His address and called me to give me his address.
So you didn't know when Gretchen
in Australia, I'm like, it's gotta be Sims messing with me right now, and it surely was.
Not bad. Okay, sorry about that, Josh. You can finish up your top 5 tests.
Okay, good. So yeah, it was the Iron Root Icor. The next one we had here was the Balcones Juntos, which I don't know if anybody if Arthur brought this on earlier or whatever, but this was single malt finished in tequila casks, French oak single malt finished in tequila casks, which I thought was super interesting. I really didn't expect to like it as much as I did, which was pretty fantastic.
I've heard good things about that one.
We are obsessed with Scotch Malt Whiskey Society. Oops. I gotta figure out. There we go. I called them yesterday and ordered 3 more bottles, and we had 3 bottles. We gave each other 3 bottles for Christmas last year.
They make it real easy.
They make it way too easy. So the reason we love Shotgun Really Gig, this is actually Balcones. And so we were at the event, the First Texas Distillery, that are part of the Scotch Malt Whiskey Society label. So we're really excited about that. And we got one of the bottles that sold out. And we also became members that night too. So
yeah, we went to a tasting event up at the distillery and got signed up. It's 4-year-old single malt and ex-bourbon casks. So refill, used oak. And this was actually the second bottle. This is 140.2, so it means the second barrel they've ever bought from them. 140.1 apparently isn't out in the U.S. yet because they still need to get the label approved or something like that. But I found out what its name is, and it's called Cornography.
I feel like Arner should have had like that name.
Yeah,
I do too. I feel like maybe you should fight for that name before it gets approved.
There's been a lot of those jokes rolling around down here, like the new cornographers, stuff like that. Yeah. Let's see what else we got. Let's do this guy.
Yeah. I thought that was actually we were giving that away. I didn't realize you were.
This might be cheating, but this will be like a 3-for-1. So Andalusia did all 3 of their whiskeys finished in a PX sherry cask. and it took on just so much amazing, PX sherry flavor, especially the Striker. The Striker's kind of always my favorite. That's the hardwood smoked, mesquite, apple, and oak wood smoked single malt. But they just came out fantastic. They were all done at cast strength and done in this super cool set of 375 liter.
That's really nice of you to be sending that down for my birthday.
And if you're in Texas at all, we were just there on Friday. They still have a bunch of these left.
They do, actually.
I thought they were going to sell out in November, and they didn't.
And if you look at the bottom,
Are they more than $20?
More than $20.
It says your journey to whiskey deliciousness starts here.
Yeah, nice. On the side too. It's a phenomenal box.
Yeah, really cool
with the Texas
packaging
whiskey,
stuff.
certified Texas whiskey stuff on the side. So
yeah,
really
Are
proud.
those 375s or are they 200 milliliters?
375s.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, yep. And the last one, really, just because it was so much fun, we pulled out that Evolution cask, barrel pick we did for Iron Root.
Is that 2?
This is bottling number 2, yeah, which was a Bloody Butcher corn barrel that we pulled the first roughly quarter to a third of the barrel, 7 cases worth, and bottled that. That sold out really quickly. And this is number 2 pull out of that same barrel. It's about approximately 6 months older than the first bottling. The exact same barrel, hasn't been touched or proved down or anything like that. So you get to see, just sort of the intensity and complexity develop over time, which is really cool.
Yeah, I'm excited to get once you get that third barrel, I'm excited to show people here the progression of it, because no one here is doing anything like an Evolution barrel. I kind of maybe started talking to one people into maybe pondering doing it, but it's not the same as someone who already has it done. Plus, you guys move so much quicker with the heat down there.
Yeah.
Here with the bourbon, I feel like you almost have to have it be 5 years old, 4 or 5, to kind of start getting relatively what you guys do in 2.
Sure. And it develops differently, which is what's cool about it, right? What you're going to come up with in a bourbon in 4 or 5 years and what Texas comes up with in 2, they're still going to taste dramatically different, right?
Yep. Uniqueness.
Yeah, exactly. So it's really amazing, even in just that short 6 month time period. This has become all it's almost like a charred marshmallow and all sorts of French toast and strawberry or raspberry syrup on top. It's developed so much intensity and complexity, and it's gotten a lot darker than the first bottle.
And they were really happy with it too. We actually had it Thanksgiving Day. They surprised us with a bottle of number 2, and we were all able to drink it and compare it to number 1 at dinner, and it was.
That's really the thing that's fun about it, is to try them side by side like that.
Yeah, I remember Robert was saying that he's I totally dig the number 2 way more than the number 1. And he's and I liked the number 1, but the number 2 was so much richer with flavors.
Yeah, absolutely.
And every time we go up there, it's kind of cool because we can go up there and taste the barrel, and we're up there almost every other month, just hanging out and doing some business stuff with them. And so it's fun to kind of taste the progression along the way too before it even gets bottled. So.
And there can be such a drastic difference in just 1 month in a barrel.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
especially in that region. Yeah, especially in that region of Texas. So Denison is about 4.5 hours north of Austin. So they're almost to the Oklahoma border. Kind of the joke that we say is if you throw a rock, you can actually hit Oklahoma from the distillery. And so they've got Lake Texoma. They get snow up there. They get a different climate than you're going to get in Austin and any other places in the state. And so it's really fun to kind of taste the difference at the barrel warehouse up there than say something that's aged at Andalusia, or even something that's aged at Balcones, or even in Houston.
And the temperature swings, the temperature swings can be the big thing that affects the flavor. You can see even within the same week, or, they say even sometimes at the right time of day, it's okay, it tastes good right now. Let's dump it right now. If you get a major temperature swing, you let it sit for even a small amount of time, it could, pretty substantially change the flavor. So right now is not really the best time of year to be picking single barrels, for example. Right. But you wait till it gets a little bit warmer, the barrels heat up a little bit, and now they start tasting better again, right? We're kind of a dormant season at the moment.
A spring, summer, fall kind of thing where winter's a little more raw. often.
Yeah.
And our barrel house isn't. Some people have asked, is it is it insulated? Is it
temperature controlled?
It's temperature controlled, and they only turn on the heaters when it's like below 40, so the pipes don't freeze in the barrel warehouse.
Yeah.
But they're constantly moving barrels around in the warehouse. It used to be an old a boat sales shop where you could go and like look at boats, and so it's kind of cool to kind of see that and see what's going on in the distillery and in the barrel house.
Yeah,
and
I know. Speaking to Robert, was it 2 weeks ago? He would seriously love to do like the traditional dunnage style where it's half in the ground.
Yeah.
And that would be absolutely phenomenal in 15 years' time when Robert's looking at retiring and they've got a mini mansion built on iron corn.
All that corn money, man.
That corn money.
Yeah. No, I think that there's huge potential that's kind of untapped right now because everybody wants to put the word bourbon on their product, right? Everybody wants it to say bourbon, and
not Jack Daniels. They were very firmly against it.
But everybody in Texas, they want to at least have some of their products say the word bourbon, preferably straight bourbon on there, right? But I think there's bigger potential here in terms of the quality of the whiskey to do refill casks. And to do something like a dunnage warehouse, you'll be able to put it down there, who knows, 4 years, 8 years, something like that, and be able to accomplish a whole lot of maturation in a shorter time than say someplace like Scotland. Of course, it's still going to taste different, but I think you can make some pretty amazing whiskeys here by going with refill casks and trying to control the temperature somewhat, right, with those kind of techniques like a dunnage warehouse.
Well, yeah, I think just letting it be.
Oh,
sorry, go ahead, Sims.
I was going to say there is a good chance that, because Texas whiskey is such a juvenile industry, really, there is a good chance that in 4, 5, 10 years' time, Texas whiskey, as its own classification outside of your bourbon and your straight bourbon, will have a good enough reputation, much like Tennessee whiskey or thing where it's basically just a subsection of a broader category, not necessarily bourbon as the base category, but
right.
Yeah. And
I also think you're going to see Texas whiskey come up as its own, like a bourbon or like a Kentucky.
Yeah.
Texas whiskey will be its own.
Yeah, I mean, the oldest distillery is 10, 11 years old.
11 years old,
at Balcones, and so like everybody's been saying, the industry's fairly young. And there's a lot more popping up. I was watching Daniel on the Scotch Test Dummies live stream the other day, and he, I think Mark had said, what do you see is going to happen in 2020 in the next couple of years? And I agree with them. What we've seen with the craft beer industry, especially living in Austin, is there was this massive boom of craft beer. Like everybody needed to have a distillery, and living in Austin, gosh, I think there was like 15, just like maybe 10 right around your office.
Oh yeah, there's a ton.
And so there's a lot of them that are going to keep up. There's going to be a lot of them that are kind of creeping up. But I think what's going to happen over time is that the ones that are making a difference and making some of that really great whiskey and being transparent and becoming members of the Texas Whiskey Association, Texas Whiskey Trail, those are the ones that are going to rise kind of to the top and stay.
I think the likes of is it Real Ale, where they do all of the beer and then they have their distilleries. That shows that, hey, when craft beer, because it's on its downward part of the boom, value add to those fermenters that you already have.
Yeah,
they have already put down a fantastic pathway to show people this is just an option. This is how we're doing it, and we're doing well.
Yeah, and everybody's doing interesting stuff. I mean, we were just there last weekend. What was it, last Friday? Yeah. And we dropped in there, and they had I think it was a rye, some kind of rye ale mash bill. So they take their beer mash bill, they leave out the hops, and then they distill that.
Oh,
right?
okay.
So they had this rye ale of some kind that they aged. They picked a single barrel of it and finished it in Madeira casks. I mean, that's interesting, right?
Madeira is exciting anyways.
Yeah. And Real Ale, Real Spirits, which is the Real Ale, part of Real Ale, it does the whiskeys and the gin. He's doing a mezcal too, and so he just did
sort of. I mean, it's not made from agave, but it's inspired by mezcal.
So he's going to do one every quarter, I think.
Different
part of it, different animals. So, I mean, there's a lot of experimentation going on in the area in Texas, at least. And then I think I was hearing last week, I think there's at least 5 or 6 new distilleries that are coming on the Texas Whiskey Trail next year. And 19, I think I counted today, that are already on the trail. And so I can see that becoming bigger and bigger as well.
Yeah, it's exciting.
So you're taking 2 weeks off in September, right, Josh?
That's right, man. We've got the Texas Whiskey Festival, the Houston Whiskey Social. We've got some other things for Iron Root, and then of course the Bastards Ball from this year, right?
And some random Aussie bloke showing up.
Our schedule, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of growth happening in Texas with the whole industry as a whole. And so, actually, just before we came on here, I wanted to rewatch the Iron Root video that Rex and Daniel did because I can't believe that was only 10 months ago. And so to kind of see how things have progressed and to see how weathered that Jonathan and Robert look now compared to how they looked 10 months ago.
You might not be aware of this, Gretchen. Cast Strength did a really nice Iron Root thing as well, like a 3-part.
It was a feature film.
I would say that I was the camerawoman that Robert had to tell Josh and I to move the camera when he was moving from the distillery. And
I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. I have no idea what I'm doing.
No idea.
That makes 3 of us.
It's better we're on this side with them. It's better we're on
Thanks for speaking for me.
Well, if you're counting yourself, that's 5.
When you guys are mentioning the breweries, though, like we kind of have that kind of thing kicking up here where just in Green Bay, we have maybe 8 or 10 breweries.
Oh, wow.
We have a lot of breweries.
And like we know the owners of 2 or 3 of them, but like it's kind of a ridiculous amount. And they're all kind of helpful, like the distilleries down there. It's just weird. I can't get the distillery in town to make a whiskey.
Really? Or they just do gin and vodka and stuff?
There's just gin and like 70 different versions of shitty vodka. Well, it's shitty vodka. I don't. Sorry, man. Like I don't care if you're doing cherry and whipped cream and all. Like I don't. Who needs that? Just put some whipped cream in the damn drink. You know, like you don't need to flavor the vodka for it. That's the way I feel about vodka. But yeah, they just
we have our vodka, not just selling it because it's really good.
That's honestly true. It's a vodka that intentionally tastes of the grain it's made from and stuff. It's really actually pretty cool.
But that's like more of the like legit flavor rather than like flavoring vodka in my mind.
No.
Oh, and on that note, are you guys planning on doing any vodkas? I would assume up in Canada.
Yeah, well, unfortunately in Canada, whiskey has to actually sit in a barrel for 3 years plus a day.
Mm-hmm. Plus a day. I love that.
To continue a distillery for that first 3 years, you look at vodka and moonshine.
Sure, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And gin. Don't forget the old gin is a well-trotted favor for distilleries. Yep.
Yeah. So much like you're saying, our vodka does reveal the grain that it's made from, and it's a stronger product. We didn't aim for that absolutely no taste. We want you to know what it is. We want you to know what to mix it with.
Absolutely.
Same with our moonshines. We use our moonshines in a few different things, but the flavor of that moonshine carries through for everything.
So are you going to do a Southern style vodka made from sweet potatoes and call it I Yam vodka?
Oh. Go back to bed, Jeremy.
Nice.
Yeah, we're not going to touch that.
Sorry.
Yeah, you do make the. Although our passion is the whiskey, and that's how we get into it, Scotch, and we're barreling right off the bat.
Yep.
You got to keep the doors open somehow for the first 3 years.
Yeah, of course. Are you focusing on any sort of particular type of whiskey, or making a bunch of different stuff, or?
Basically 2 styles. One is a wheated, bourbon mash bill, and the other one is a straight barley. So
okay.
We do have some neat little flavorings in the barley, so we're seeing how that's going to turn out. Plus, we're in a place that has a a different air about it. So we we look at that transferring into the barrels as well, and it should give us a varietyness to our spirit.
Oh, cool. Very cool.
Do you have to heat your barrel warehouses? Because I don't know, we're from Michigan, so I can't even imagine how cold it gets in a barrel warehouse in Canada. So
Well, we cheat. Our
Our barreling is
hold on a sec.
over there.
it's in a TARDIS?
Behind the TARDIS. So
Bigger on the inside.
You're gonna go for a ride.
Yeah, you're gonna go for it. So in this room, right behind Bessie, that wall's our barrel wall.
Okay.
Okay.
It's
So
heated
that
by
is-
car.
That is separate from the front of the distillery, but during the day it heats up enough, and at night it never gets below 32.
Okay.
Oh,
It
okay.
drops down to the 32 to 40, and then during the day it's right up. In the summertime, it'll get up to about 100.
Oh,
wow.
Very cool.
That's nice.
So that's going to produce a completely different flavor than what Texas weather would produce.
I'm sure it will. It'll also take different time because not having the heat and the humidity of Texas, which does produce a spirit sooner, an aged spirit sooner. Ours will take our temperature is very similar to Scotland, and we take longer to mature.
Which also means you'll probably have a lower angel share, because I think even at Iron Root up north, I think our angel share is like 9 to 12%.
Yep.
Yep.
In Garrison Brothers,
And
which is
generally speaking, the proof goes up over time.
And then in Garrison Brothers, and they're slightly south of Austin, I think they're 10 to 12% maybe.
Depends on the environment. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I have some very good security in here.
Exterminate. That's Dalek veto.
Oh, there.
Aww.
All right, give me 1 second here. I'm unfortunately gonna push Sims out for a second. I know. It's okay. I can take that.
I'll push an eye out for a bit, and we'll come back in about 10 minutes.
Yeah, sure. That's cool. Hold on a second. We'll flip flop that. And we're gonna bring Sarah from Whiskey Crusaders in. She's
Hi, guys.
helping us to drop in here as well too this evening. It's good to see you.
Good to see you too. It's been a while.
Yeah, it
Been
is.
a while for a couple of you.
Well,
So we've gone from Doctor Who to Star Wars now. This is great.
Could have been Star Wars. Could have been Harry Potter. And, you know.
I'm not gonna argue either show. I like them both.
Heck yeah.
At some
Yeah.
level, they're the same.
We're nerdy around here. I even have a sorting hat on top of my Christmas tree.
Lovely.
Oh, I dig that quite a bit.
Yeah.
I feel like I could be sorted into the wrong thing, but that's okay.
Yeah, you just
What's
kind of have
wrong?
to take what you
Yeah,
get,
sure.
right?
You know, you can choose. The hat
You can choose.
takes your thoughts into consideration.
It does. It does. So we're talking top 5, huh?
Yes, we are.
been a difficult thing for me this year.
Didn't you guys have like 400 or 500 whiskeys the other day? When
yeah. I don't even know how many whiskeys I've had this year. Between Matt's house and then the vault,
That'll
and
do it.
then the vault again. It's overwhelming. We did have a couple of top things that really stuck out to me, which kind of made the whiskey stick out to me. We did talk a little bit about this last night, but Teeling 24 year, I don't know if I'll ever get to try that again, but it is definitely on my top 5 for this year that I've had. By chance, they happened to bring a bottle, and we happened to jump all over that thing. So, I think the rep maybe had like that much in his bottle when he left. There was a brand spanking new bottle that he popped for us at the tasting. Yeah, that was definitely, I think, my top of this year.
At least you know you made fans that day, or he made fans that day.
Everybody that came to that tasting was like, thanks for bringing this guy. And then him, thanks for acquiring that bottle and bringing it to us and sharing it. I mean, that's the big thing. That's, whiskey of the year. And there's one close to us in our little mom and pop shop. If it's still there, it was like 400, 450 or something like that. And, you know, I just don't have that kind of change lying around. So I'm glad I got to try it when I did. That one stuck out. Compass box.
Oh, well.
I went down compass box rabbit hole in the vault. But before that, we had done a couple videos. It's a toss-up between Delilah and the Spice Tree Extravaganza. Those two kind of share a spot on my top. Third time tonight is a charm.
Hey.
Okay. Iron Root. I do love all things Iron Root that are coming out of them. The I-Core. This has been definitely a top for me. I know it's a
third
top
time we've heard that one. That's
I know. Third time's a charm, right?
On the list.
Of course, the people who live in Texas are the ones that are listing it because that's the only place you can get it. I know that's a top for William as well. If he were here, he'd agree. Poor man's got to work tonight. So, another we've mentioned a lot, Dovetail.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I do remember that one from last night.
We've acquired, we have 3 bottles in the house right now, and I'm thankful for all 3. And we decided that we could finally start saying, oh yeah, we can say the name of this because we've got some on hand, and we didn't want it all to go away. But if you get a chance to pick this up, this is an exceptional bottle of whiskey.
I passed it up, and now I feel like a dirty person.
Go find it.
I feel wrong for passing it up the one weekend. I was like, ah.
Go find it. Get it. It's glorious. I'm actually drinking that tonight. What else? Dreamcast, Redbreast. I had the chance to try both years. Thank you, Brad. In the vault back at the Bastards Ball. I am a Redbreast fan to begin with. I have not found a Redbreast expression that I don't like, but that one tops them all for me. And then I think that was 5, but I have a one more I got to throw in there. Bookers. I've had a lot of good Bookers this year. Big man, small batch. If I could somehow get my hands on one of those bottles, I would be the happiest girl in the world. But that definitely was up there for me. We did a Booker's night, and we had, I don't even know how many expressions of Bookers, thanks to a good friend of ours. And that one stuck out like a sore thumb to me. And I'm kind of sad that my sample's all gone.
that does burn when the sample goes away.
It's so bad. I do have samples of the Delilah and the Spice Tree left, and I'm kind of milking those as much as I can. I had a little bit of time. Just a tiny little, just a wee Glencairn, just a wee. I had a little bit of the Delilah before you let me in, and I was kind of sad that that's all I have left. So thankfully, Matt, I think, has some more at his house, but I'd have to drive over there to get it from him and find it.
I feel like it's hard to which room do you go in to find it at his house?
You always start in the office.
I like this answer. It's like if I go over there, I know where to divert him and where I should go.
Go look in there for me. I'm gonna go look in here. But I've had so many exceptional whiskeys this year. Again, Matt's house is just, it's like walking into a liquor store and just being able to try whatever you want, which everybody wishes they could do at a liquor store. But so this is a hard list for me, and I'm looking forward to next year and all the new stuff I get to try then as well.
Oh, and those are good answers. Also, if people don't know, and I just don't know if you do, Whiskey Crusaders typically as a snack has bacon to kind of get them over the hump through an evening. Oh, it's there. I feel dirty for not having it. I feel like I made a steak earlier, and part of me was like, should I throw some bacon on? And I really should have, and I didn't. But
I think we missed the boat. Yesterday
was
bacon day.
I heard nothing but
yesterday was bacon day.
Yeah, I had nothing but fantastic feedback from the ball. with Will's pocket bacon.
The bacon, pocket bacon.
Pocket bacon.
Bacon was
You just hand you a piece of bacon and you just took it.
It's like you were getting palmed the bacon. Like
I'm a little afraid of pocket bacon.
You ate it anyway with all the pocket lint and everything. I didn't care. It was like it was
We made like 10 pounds of bacon, maybe more, to bring to the ball. And yeah, he always had bacon on him. And it's kind of our motto, where there's whiskey, there's got to be bacon. So if you haven't had bacon and whiskey together, you're missing out.
Well, it enhances and plays with so many different variants out there that it's hard to argue. Like and once you get into like the PD smoky or scotches, you're like, this is right at home. You know, like
you know, that's not my wheelhouse, but that's all I hear from William and even Matt, like, because we often will bring Matt some bacon on Monday nights because he literally lives like 7 minutes from us. And they just go on and on about the smoky and the bacon and the, I don't know. It's not my thing, but it goes good with bourbon too.
I just had an Octomore 8.2 earlier tonight, and I hadn't had it before, and it made my steak tremendously better.
I bet.
Tremendously better. Like, it was good, but then all of a sudden I was like, had a drink. Even my wife, like, she's a sniffer. She's not a taster. But she had it. She's like, I really like this. And then, like, I had it, and I was like, oh, it's briny, it's this, it's that. Tastes like a little bit of a, you know, like, tire fire that was on for a second. She's like, it's weird to hear you say that you love it, but at the same time, it smells like a tire fire. And I'm like, you have no idea. Tire fire on top of a steak apparently is tremendous.
I get nothing but Band-Aids off the peat, and I just can't do it yet. It's not for lack of trying. It's been pushed on me. It's been forced on me.
You need to start with something that's peated slightly differently. You know, like maybe not from peat per se, but maybe some other combustible material.
You know, I'm willing to try just about anything once. And I say just about anything because, Brad, you're listening, and I'm still not going to try the damn Floki.
It's so good. I'm sorry. I had it in the mall, and
what are you talking about?
I thought it was good.
It's okay. We're all wrong sometimes.
It was funny because no one would pour it for me.
Yeah, they were trying to do you a favor.
I think Brad finally because it was right after we did when the YouTubers went to the Salt Lake for the barrel pick, the YouTube barrel pick with Iron Root, and then we got to go into the vault, and I'm like, oh, I want Floki, and nobody would pour it for me.
Nope, no.
I think Emma or Brad finally.
I had it down there the first time.
Barbecue.
Yeah, I had it the first time I was down there, and it was actually pretty decent. Like, I wasn't like afraid of tasting it, but for what it was, I was pretty happy. It's one of those things where you go in and you're like kind of concerned about something, and you're like, it turns out tasting good, and you're like, awesome, rather than like having the super high expectation, and all of a sudden you taste it and you're like, that was crap. When really it was probably okay to pretty good, but you're like, everyone has been talking about it up here, and I think it's like down.
If your expectation is in the gutter, you can't be disappointed.
It wasn't so much the sheep shit that ruins it for me. It's that it tastes like you face planted in a wet barn, and then
that's what I got on the smell.
And then just eat that.
I smelled it. Vito kind of stuck it in my face and said, "Oh, I got something for you," trying to trick me. And of course, I'm going to smell what's in the glass. I smell everything, every glass. It's like, have it now. And I'm like, no.
With after eating something though, like I don't know, maybe it was the barbecue that did for me. Maybe I'll visit it again when I haven't had any.
My nose still beats out my palate, and it comes first. And if it smells like ass, it's not going in my mouth. So.
Sorry, I totally tossed the mic with that because I laughed so hard. If it smells like ass, I'm like, I've had a few of those. You're like, no, I don't feel like tasting this. No, it's a terrible idea.
No, and I've taken some things for the team here with our channel, and I've done some videos of heated whiskeys, and I don't hold back my feelings, that's for sure. But I'll take a sip, and that's about it, just for the video's sake. And that's the only thing I think I'm not looking forward to this coming year. is all the peated videos that Matt has planned.
So this is where you need to start looking at some of the New Zealand stuff with the smoked manuka wood.
Yeah.
Yeah, that stuff is pretty cool.
Yep. There's some WA stuff because obviously different peat has different flavor profiles. So I mean, it's something potentially that we just need to find the right, smoked media that tickles your fancy.
And I'm cool with like just smoky whiskey in general, but it's just that Band-Aid. I can't get past the Band-Aid.
So how do you feel about Cole Keegan if you've had it? I assume probably you have.
I've had a sip of it and
I love the honesty. I like that. When some people are like, I love it, and someone's like, I don't know.
I have no problem being honest. Just because it's not for me doesn't mean it's not for you. But yeah, I have no problem holding back my feelings about something.
I swore off everything peat until we went to the Lefroy tasting at 7 Grand the Thursday before the Bastards Ball. And I'm like, the only reason I went is because a lot of people were in town and a lot of people wanted to go. And I'm like, fine, I'll go. I don't want to be like the only one not going. And I don't know if I became a peat head because it created so many wonderful memories for me that night, or if I really like peat. But it was a fantastic evening. It was the biggest event that 7 Grand Whiskey Society has had.
I think if you're ever going to enjoy peat, it'll be two Scottish guys entertaining the shit out of you while they're burning peat in the patio to make the whole place smell like peat smoke. And it was, I mean, they just create such an environment there that's so fun, and serving you Lefroy at the same time.
With an Irish guy, New Zealand guy, New Zealand, Canadians, New Jerseyans.
Yep.
Wherever Ed's from in the Great White North.
It was like a whiskey Captain Planet.
Yeah, it was.
I wonder if that's it, Sarah. You just need to start burning peat on stage, and then you'll be fine because you'll get a client.
Yeah, like some
we all got that hump from the whiskey tribe.
You can do it. You can just walk around.
Yeah, I do have that clump of peat from the Whiskey Tribe.
I do too, and I was like, you know what? I kind of feel like lighting it up like incense right now.
No, it went in the drawer.
To never come out again.
Never come out again.
So what I might do,
no, it's really in the drawer.
what I might do is, because it is midday down here where I am anyway, and I have a few things that I need to do for tomorrow and whatnot. I might bow out and hope everyone has a fantastic end of 2019 and a fantastic 2020.
That's excellent, Jeremy. I appreciate you stopping in.
No, thank you for having me, and I will see many of you later in the year.
Of course.
And good luck on this first week without whiskey.
It's going to be so hard. All right. Uri, guys.
Nice, Jeremy.
Cheers,
Good night. And give me a second. I'm going to pull back in Mark and Lisa. There we go. Thanks for holding on over there. Appreciate it.
They just keep moving around.
Yeah. Throw people in and up and down on that. So.
Well, I thought we'd change the background.
Oh, yeah.
Looks
Well,
nice.
I told you that was sexy yesterday when I saw that.
Nice.
I always like seeing a good couple stills. But I know we haven't. We'll wait on yours. I know Mike or Ben. Do either one of you want to toss out your top five? I've had you sitting back there for a little bit, so I want to hear a little something out of you, one of you guys, if you want to toss your top five out there.
Ben, you want to go ahead?
Yeah, I'll tackle it. I've sampled some really phenomenal whiskeys this year, but pretty much I decided my top five would be bottles that I've acquired, either somebody gifted me or I purchased this year. And it's really ones that just overwhelmed me and, really surprised me in a big way. And the first one, you guys talked about real spirits. So,
nice.
Yeah, their single barrel release from this year. I was able to get a bottle of this and took it to a tasting, and it kind of stole the show.
Nice.
It was, I think they used about 7 different kinds of malt in this and a little bit of peated malt. And the peat really didn't start coming forward until we got about halfway through the bottle. But it's just an amazing whiskey. The best way I can describe it is like French toast with toasted pecans drizzled in maple syrup, and you get this just tiny bit of earthy peat coming through from that. It's like a dessert whiskey to me. Amazing. That's one of the Texas whiskeys, which I've just become a big fanboy of here this year. Iron Root, the Icarus, 2019. That to me, that was my favorite American whiskey this year that I've had. I've loved everything I've had from Iron Root, but that one is just amazing. The balance they strike between the corn, the port, and then with the smoky Isla finish coming in, it's just astounding. I think to me it speaks to the art and the craftsmanship of what the Licorice Brothers are doing there, because the way they could just bring that together and create something just with so much amazing flavors that are so different and so vibrant, but it all just works together in a really good way. The third one, Highland Park Riptide, their single cab series that they've got. So it varies depending on what region of the country you're in. But
which I think is shenanigans.
It's like take everything you like about Highland Park 12 and crank it up to 11, and it's just a gorgeous, delicious whiskey. A little bit more of the fruit, but also some more of the smoke and the peat coming through on it. That's amazing. I was sipping on tonight earlier the Octomore, and so that's probably been my favorite whiskey of the year. That 8.2. All that smoke, all that peat. It's just, you get the meatiness, all the cured and smoked meat flavors you get in the Octomore, but then they finished in some red wine casks. So then you've got this earthy fruit coming from the red wine that just, to me, adds so much nuance to what is normally a phenomenal Octomore. And out of the Octomores I've had, this has been my favorite one so far, just for that reason. You've got the smoke, the peat, there's some rich dark chocolate flavors that come in, and then you get this like intense cinnamon and even like incense notes that come in from the 8.2 that to me just take it to another level.
Right as you mentioned that, Benjamin,
yeah,
I gave Sean his first taste of it. And like as you're talking, Sean's like this, looking left as you're talking, not even paying attention to what I said. It's really good.
That was my first taste, so it's not on my list yet.
Yeah,
it could definitely make it.
I can understand it. So for me, that's been one. And then being an Ardbeg fanboy as well, I had drum on my list earlier until just for Christmas I got the Supernova. Upon first cracking that one open, that just knocked the drum right off the list. I mean, right off the bat, the 2019 Supernova release. That one's been amazing. It's classic Ardbegian in a way, but it kind of reaches into that Octomore realm a little bit with the intensity of the peat and the smoke. And I sat there and poured a glass of the Ardbeg 10, and so I had them side by side. And the 10 nose like a kind of a heathery Highland malt versus the Supernova. Just the intensity of the peat and the smoke was that much different, and just amazing. So that's my top 5 for this year. There's plenty I could throw in there. I mean, just about anything I've had from Iron Root, Andalusia, some of the other Texas whiskeys. I mean, I could create a top 5 list just for the Texas whiskeys I've had this year. So, and hearing you guys talking about Texas and all that's going on there, I mean, I'm ready to call the real estate agent in the morning.
Pretty amazing thing.
We were actually on the phone with Jonathan and Marsha earlier, so holy crap in 2020. That's all I'm going to say.
It's going to be busy, man. I'm going to tell you what.
Wow.
They have your weekends planned for the year, do they?
What I mean,
apparently the schedule is already pretty full.
Yeah, just for what we're doing, but in terms of what they want to do and how they want to push the company forward this year. Oh my God, I'm so.
I am looking for a new job. So. you need to wrap up in Wisconsin. I'm down.
Well, we're coming down September and hope to meet up with you folks.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah. Josh and I, we're 4 hours away from there. But at this point, like our bosses, when we ask for time off from our day jobs, they're like, "Oh, going up to Denison." We're like, "Yeah." Just,
where else?
Where else would I go? Like, is there anywhere else in the state of Texas?
Yeah.
But yeah, have a good when you guys come down, definitely like send an email to like Robert and
let us know.
Yeah, and let us know. And they just because they're open like technically on Saturdays at 1. Like if you want to go take a tour during the week, they're awesome about being able to open up the distillery. So you guys are around, especially if they're distilling. It's really cool.
Yeah.
Sweet. Now I don't know, Lisa. Do you want to go through your top 5 that you have over there? I know I heard them before we started, so I kind of cheated, but I know the rest of these people didn't hear them, and they were good choices. And I
started out with Ardbeg Drum Ultimate. It's sort of a limited edition that has been aged in ex-bourbon barrels and then into rum casks. So it's got a little bit of a fruity, pineapple-y after, like mid-tones to it. And
we don't get that here.
And sea salt, so it's pretty good.
We got to go down to Chicago to get that. I just looked at Sean. I'm like, we don't get that here. That's why we don't have that.
And then I'm kind of I like peaty stuff. So then that's the Ardbeg 10 that everybody's been already talking about.
It's pretty much a standard around our place.
I've tried the Glenfiddich Fire and Cane.
Oh, that's really good.
So good.
Yeah. Yep.
It is really good. Yeah, I really enjoy that one.
And I mentioned that like when I went to the liquor store just the other day, the Fire and Cane was $23.99, and I had the hardest time not buying the last one.
Yeah, and it's like $79 here.
Yeah, we're thinking another ball or 2 for 79.
Maybe you might get one in the mail then.
Now this one I just got, so it's a Lagavulin 16-year-old.
Nice.
Very smooth. So I just got that was my Christmas gift this year. And then the let's see this one.
You want to water?
You got it. 12-year-old.
Ooh, Glendronach.
Yeah.
I like the smoky, salty, iodine type.
I so want to try the Parliament from them, and I haven't yet.
You just need to go to a whiskey festival.
Oh man.
It's the best time to try.
We got Distill America coming up, and last time we were down there, when Sean and I were looking at scotches, it was the Mihadikio, the Parliament, or the Glen. We only had the Glengoyne 18, not the 21. And I was like doing a dance in the Scotch section, like, oh shit, what do we do? What do we do? Because I've heard wonderful things about every one of those. So, Sean, what are your
well, I had to write mine down because I'm somewhat of a whiskey novice. I get introduced to it on Fridays when Pat brings whiskeys over. So my choices are limited to my experiences. So I don't want to. I'm not putting them in order, but I'm giving you the top 5 that I enjoy.
And I can explain why on 2 of them.
Okay, sure. So I'm choosing Basil Hayden's straight bourbon whiskey, 8 years, because it's convenient. Because when I go to Costco, it's there and I can pick it up and I drink it on a regular basis, so it's easy.
That's the whiskey that got me into whiskey, so don't be ashamed.
Okay, so
that's my intro whiskey for people. Is that whiskey is like, here, I think you should be safe with this.
Yeah, it's what got me into it.
It's not gonna hurt you too bad.
Right. It's a straight, perfect whiskey. Just nothing. Right. I do enjoy peated, so I'm gonna put the peat monster out there because that was my first peated experience and I loved it. So that probably was the one whiskey that got me started on peat. So Second, or not second, but another one is Redbreast, the single pot 12-inch Irish whiskey. And that was because it was a gift to somebody, and I got to experience it, so I enjoyed it very well. Let's see. The other one was
Redbreast is always good.
Well,
I don't care about what
right.
it is. I'm happy with it.
So again, remember, these are just by my own experiences. So I got an excellent opportunity to do the Old Fitzgerald 13-year bonded whiskey, and that was excellent. So I put that one on my list.
Which I'm going to bring up. This son of a bitch got it at an auction and then gave it to me for my birthday, and I'm still uncomfortable with the price that he gave me.
Well, to be fair, I wouldn't be drinking whiskey at the caliber I'm drinking whiskey at if it wasn't for you. So
still feel the way it is.
And that was just a lucky lottery win anyway. So, and I don't speak Japanese, so I'm going to say this completely wrong, but the Nika single malt Nika Dikio, love that one. So those would be the 5 that I would choose for my year at least.
Very cool.
For my limited experiences.
You lately. You've been kind of diving in on your own end, so I'm not gonna. One day he called me from Costco and he was like, "Hey, what do you think of this and this and this?" And all I did was give like a price point. I'm like, "It should be 30." He's like, "It is." Then that's a good price. And I'm like, that shouldn't be more than 7. That should be about 70, 75. He's like, it's 50. Pick up that bottle of A&O right now. I'm like, but yeah, like I said, he's one of the friends around here that actually seems to give 2 shits about it, rather than just like, having a good time and getting a drunkie. He'll pick out the flavor here and there. I mean, the other people will, and they have their own flavors. The most exciting part for us is one of us gets a heated whiskey, the other people hate it. And we'll,
Or for us.
We'll pour it out, and they'll all be like, "Oh my God, what happened? Oh, I can't handle it." And we're like snickering to ourselves, like, I guess we'll have a bigger pour ourselves. Mike, I think you're the last one other than me that has a top 5 hiding out there. And then maybe for a second, Mark and Lisa might show us a couple of the cool things they have hidden in the. I mean, I'm sorry, you made me geek out the other night, Mark, Dave, when you showed us stuff. I kind of am a nerd, and I kind of lost it for a second. You have there in the distillery, but what do you got, Mike, on your top 5? Or what criteria did you go with?
It's really hard to do that list. I kind of did what Ben did, where I went with stuff that I actually bought, except for one. So it's kind of like my number 6 kind of. The Abuna Alba. Recently got that. I'm very, very surprised by it. I really like the normal Abuna. I love that big sherry bomb. It's real tasty. This Alba, it's grown on me substantially. I mean, just it's a fruit bomb, and it's so nice, and it's the Highland amped up, and I really like that one a lot. I got one Irish, a Dingle single malt batch 3, which is I was trying to pick out an Irish, and Redbreast 12 cast strength is a big favorite of mine, but this Dingle is so nice. It is just so well rounded and full of everything Irish that you want, fruit, biscuits, and everything. It's a really nice drink. I was really debating getting this one on the list, but I savor it. I take little bits. The STR. I do really like it. And only for the sake of, I look forward when I do have it. I have a small amount, and I look forward to that little bit of it. And then I've got the Del Bach Distiller's Cut batch 19-1, which is a Madeira finished.
Hell yes.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes,
the thing I really like about it is just the idea that they are, hey, we're going to do something different every time, and we're going to have fun with it, and Yeah, I enjoy that one quite a bit. So another one that I have for a couple reasons. It's a specific batch of Bellmead cask strength. It's batch 9, which is it's fruit and chocolate and everything else. But the bottle that I got is bottle number 666. And I happened to pick it up, and I wanted to get the other batch, but I got a couple of my friends had said you need to drink that on New Year's Eve because screw 2019. It's like, right? It's a perfect one for it. One I do have to mention that I didn't buy, but I did visit Iron Root. Everyone's in here's blowing Iron Root smoke, but it's well deserved. When I visited there, Robert was so great to take me in the back room and say, "Here, have this. Now have this. Now have this." And I got to sample what became Icor when it was the 5-year in the barrel. And it was over 140 proof. Did not drink like that. It drank like a 90 proof whiskey. But more than anything, it's almost the idea of it now is much greater than the whiskey, because I will never ever have it again in my lifetime, and neither will anybody else. But it was an experience. They were wonderful, nice people, and it really was. It was a fantastic whiskey straight out of the barrel.
That always makes a big difference. I mean, yeah. And it's an experience, and I'm not going to say it's just an experience thing, because obviously like 4 or 5 people have all slapped that one down this evening. But like anytime you get to have an experience with a whiskey,
exactly,
it puts that little bit of like feeling in your heart. You're like, oh, I remember this special moment that not only was it fantastic, but I get to hold on to this like little thing that was great.
That's really like once you have been drinking and collecting whiskeys and been to distilleries and had all kinds of, developed your taste preferences and learned a bunch of stuff, and you've gone through all of this, that's really what I think sustained your interest at the end of the day, is having shared experiences with people.
Well, exactly. Like when you mentioned that whole peat thing, when they like lit the campfire and or lit the peat and had it like smoking in the room, it was like, you created an experience where not only was it like, yes, I was having whiskey I enjoy, but like, like, bam, this is a night I'm going to remember.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like that's fantastic.
And what's really funny is your top picks, not just for the year, but your top picks in general, always tend to have a really good story with them.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yep.
That is very true. Where it kind of, like I said, it pulls to that memory string where it's not going to let go.
Yeah.
All right. Now I got a couple other people here, like Caleb Blagg put out. He thought the Texas Whiskey Festival was #1 for him. Blanton's Gold #2, which I remember when I first went down to Brad's little tasting. I think I had that for the first time from James. That was delicious. Like it was significantly better than the original one. Balcones weeded, the Evolution barrel, and Andalusia Striker. So once again, a little Texas fanboy, but all of them respected. All of them respected. Then I also talked to Wade, and he brings up some neat points where a lot of his were specific barrel picks, which more and more as we're getting in, and like Mike had sent me a couple things from something in my own state, which I feel kind of lackluster about, where he's getting cooler barrel picks than I am. Speaks to the uniqueness. It does speak to the uniqueness of like an in particular barrel that is like, damn, this one was delicious. We did a wonderful job picking it. A lot of Wade's were kind of along that same thing. Oh yeah, he also wanted to upset people by putting Screwball on his list, but I wouldn't let him do it.
Of course he did. He's actually in a cool area too, because DFW and Sierra can probably attest this a lot more than
they've got two.
They have a
ton
of barrel picks that go on up there with the 2 big whiskey groups, and actually because Whiskey Crusaders has their group, and then someone say whiskey, and then the
DFW Whiskey Club.
Yeah, we've done 2 individually ourselves in the past couple of months, not including the YouTube pick, obviously.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a thing for sure.
Lots going on around here.
And I did agree with the Aromath at $750 was pretty overhyped. So
Yeah,
I did agree with that completely. I was like, you're right, Wade. I do agree with that.
I was not super impressed. I don't get on that one.
I should not laugh as hard as I did with that, but anytime someone gets above 250, I start. It's one of those things. It's an expectation thing. Now I'm like, I'm expecting to be half blown away by this just by tasting it once you start getting into that price range, especially when you pass the 500 range, especially with like a bourbon. Some scotches you can kind of get the idea where they're like, well, Dream Cask and other ones where
we're like, this is 32 years old. Okay.
Yeah. Well, I'm not going to argue with this. It should be that much money.
Right.
All right.
So good though.
It is, and but that wasn't this year for me, so I can't include that one in the list. But one of mine is, and this is one just Mike and Benjamin and I had. Mike sent it to me, but it's in Benjamin's neck of the woods. It was Rua from Great Wagon Rib Distilling. It was. I'm sorry.
I know. I was gonna put that on there. I really was. It was so hard not to.
It was my surprise of the year.
Yeah.
So that's the one why I got on there. I think you named it right, where it was a bear claw with like a little bit of a nut flavor, like a pecan or a praline nut.
Yeah.
The combination on that one, I wasn't prepared for that. Yeah. And I know I had it after like a Driftless Glen that was like super rye, little pickly, strong black licorice. Still like that one, and that one came after. But like that one, and it was closer. It was within the last month or two. I was like, holy crap! And I finished off like the sample like inside of like 10 minutes. Like we're talking, and I'm like, boop, I'll have some more. Boop, I'll have some. Shit, it's empty. Damn it. So that was one where like that was probably my surprise whiskey of the year. So that one hopped onto the list there. I'm going to agree with Sean. Japanese-wise, I've had a couple other Japanese this way, but this year, like the Yamazaki 12, and a couple other ones, but the Miyadikyo for me was one that I think it fell into my flavor profile. So Japanese, that one hopped on. I'm gonna agree with Ben. The Octomore 8.2 went really well with my steak. That's just like quick memory from earlier tonight, and that one I was like, yes, that's gonna filter onto my list because this is wonderful. And I'm sorry, Josh and Gretchen, I don't have enough options for Texas whiskey up here. I was gonna say, especially where I'm at. Like when we get down in February, we're going to Distill America. Mike's gonna meet me there for Distill America this year in Madison. I'll probably pick up a bottle or two when I'm down there, but we just don't. It doesn't make it far enough north here for me to taste enough of it. And like I said, if I get the Evolution barrel, I know I'm going to drink like half of it and screw the whole flavor profile up. So I want to wait till that third bottle comes out so I can test the whole variant of it.
Yeah.
Now the different one that made my list that is local was the J. Henry and Son Anniversary Edition.
Nice.
Cool.
This one just came out, and they're not going to do any more of it, sadly enough. But Joe Jr., not the guy who started the company, but his son worked with, and Nancy Fraley's been working with them for a couple years. But they went through all the stuff all the barrels they had there, came up with a selection of between 5 and 9-year-old barrels because it was their 10-year anniversary. And that thing has strong, like nice dark chocolate, cherries, butterscotch, vanilla, a little bit of rye spice, but it was totally the chocolate that like threw me for a loop out of that. It does have some heat because it's cask strength. It's 64%. What am I talking about? I can look. 63.28. So compared to some of their other ones, like the 7-year-old they had at cask strength, it had a little more heat on the bottle, but it wasn't like an alcohol heat. It was more like that you swallowed it and you got warm heat, which in winter here I'm okay with. I'm sure the people who hated it can agree to that, where it's like I drank something and I feel warmer. It's nice. So that was one that the local one that kind of stood out to me this year. And I'm sorry, Mike, Ben, and everyone else. I haven't. Oh, actually, Sarah might have a sample down there. I don't know if I said. Well, Matt might have gotten it because I was trying to send out a couple of samples, and when I was a little late breaking it up, and I think I sent you guys one of those. But that was.
If you did, and he has it. He has not told me.
I'm sure he hasn't. I would hoard if I was him. He has doesn't he have 8 kids visiting or a brother-in-law?
Yeah, he had a lot of family in.
Yeah, he mentioned that the other night, and I was like, if you have 8 kids, just disregard everything that happened in the last 2 weeks. There's no reason to email anyone back. Just start from wherever you start in the next year and go.
When they leave the house, just start fresh.
Yeah. And surprisingly enough, I'm going to agree. The old Fitzgerald 13 had a whole lot of leather, and I am a leather fan in that a lot of times. But
had a smooth heat after too,
and a little bit of a smooth heat. And I feel dirty because I looked over at my little table I have over there for when Sean came in. There's probably 40 bottles on there, and I had a hard time picking out number 5 on that. That was a really hard one. What were you saying?
I said I see Peat Monster.
Oh, you do see Peat Monster. You can go get some. I'm not going to stop you.
Excited.
You go get that bottle. I ain't going to stop you from going to get that bottle. That's perfectly fine.
There he goes. He's going to get it.
He's going. Away he goes. Yeah, there's enough that I'm not concerned he's going to finish it off this evening. But yeah, I was going to say the old, and I just hadn't had it. I had an earlier version of Old Fitzgerald, but I haven't had the 13-year-old version of it. And it was surprisingly good. But like I said, unless you go down to Chicago and stuff, I don't get enough Texas options. So a lot of them, those didn't make lists. No offense there, but I know that they're pretty damn tasty. And some of the other stuff I'd already had, like the Pappy 15, a couple other things. And I usually use the Pappy when people come over to show what I think an overhype is in something. I think it's nice. Half my collection I think is better than it. There's so much other stuff that I have here or have been sent that will just as sad as it is. I think the brew is better than that. I'm not trying to be mean to them, but
and again, it's all based on flavor profile for the individual, right?
Yeah.
So,
though I do feel some legitimacy in the brew because after our live stream we had with that, Seal Box was sold out in a day, and I went to go buy one, and they were like, "Oh no, I wrote them. They're like, no, we sold the other 45 bottles we had," and I was like, "God damn it! I should have never said a single word about this stupid whiskey."
I do have to tell you, I got an email from them earlier today, and they're free shipping through 11:59 p.m. At Seal Box with a code. So all I'm saying is, if you just let me, I'll send you the code. But they're. I do like that place, but I wish they would keep some more of the stuff in stock.
Yeah, that was it. But like I said, I was like. It was one of the few times I felt vaguely justified in the channel where I was like, oh, we reviewed something and people listened. That's really nice.
Yeah.
It's good feeling.
I think I can procure you some olive oil there, Patrick.
Some olive oil?
Yeah. Stays pretty well stocked locally on the shelves here, so that's not a problem.
Well, it was the price on that too. It's one of those price per point things where for $45, it's, it's hard to argue. It's hard for me to argue any whiskey at $45. I feel like you've hit a very nice centerpiece for the vast majority of people. It's when and I'm not trying to be mean to anyone in Texas, when you hit some of the Garrett's and stuff for a $375 and it's like $120, $175.
It's ridiculous.
I feel like I should be like, as soon as I have a sip, I should vaguely have an eye orgasm where, my eyes flicker and I go off into my own world and my wife's like, what happened? What happened to you? And I was like, and that happened to me one day when we were having a steak in Chicago. I had my steak, I cut into it, and yes, it was that wonderful. But the man next to me looked at me and he was like, well, I'm told the guy there, he's like, I'm going to have what he had. And I'm like, I felt like you do that. Like, this is the right choice. His wife, Bill Cosby'd him. Or like the wife, she was like, you can't have that. Your cholesterol is too high. And even though it's your birthday, you're screwed. You have to have seafood. And I was like, I cut him a piece. I was like, do you want some? And his wife's like, he can't have any. I'm like, fine. I'm like, I don't mean to get involved in your relationship, but it's his birthday. The man should have what he wants to have.
Yeah.
Lady, whoever's birthday, you should
America,
be able,
man, choice.
Yeah, you should have that meal you want to have on your birthday.
when you said she Bill Cosby to him, I thought you were going someplace.
Oh, I thought he was going somewhere else too.
Sorry, I forgot. I
think
forgot
that was a
the
poor
wife.
analogy.
It was. I forgot the wife's name. I like halfway through, I was like, I don't remember her name, and I can't. It's not coming to me. So,
2 days later, he wakes up in an alley somewhere.
Wallet's missing.
Yeah.
But no. But so those are my top 5. They were a little all over the place, but you know, I've had a lot of different stuff, and there's only like 1 or 2, and I haven't actually given a review of this. There's only 1 or 2 that I've really hated this year.
Yeah.
I don't want to mention it, but there will be one coming out in January where it's not going to be favorable, and I'm not looking forward to it because I know the owner.
Oh no!
No.
Traverse City Whiskey Company, since you're so close to Traverse City.
I don't know. Did they have anything yet that's not sourced, or I really don't know.
Patrick Cohn got me a bottle, and then what's his Prof LLC? I don't remember his. Brought me a bottle.
Oh, just true. Yeah,
Jason.
I've only had their bourbon. I haven't had any of the other stuff. I wanted to try the one that was like an apple or a cherry finish, but I haven't had them yet. But they seem to be pretty decent.
We just reviewed all of those and released them, I think, last week and maybe the week before.
Mm-hmm.
They have some really good products. The apple and the cherry one, they're legit. Like, it's not falsely flavored or anything like that. It's actual whiskey and legitimate. You're drinking, it's like you're drinking cherry bourbon. And like you're drinking an apple pie. They're actually really good for what they are.
And Traverse City is actually the cherry capital, I think, of the world.
Yeah.
They have like cherry, because I went up there every summer when I was like in college, and you know, the cherry festival, that's what they're known for. And so my first sip of it, I was, even though I was immediately back in Traverse City during the cherry festival eating cherry butter on Main Street. So I was really impressed with their offerings.
Cherry butter
is amazing.
Sarah, you guys did the port finish review on that one. I think I had to wipe my chin. I was drooling by the time you guys were done.
Yeah, that was good stuff. I wish I had a sample of that. I would grab it, but Matt kind of hoarded all that.
That's when you know it's good. It's like, you can have this ounce bottle.
Here, no.
Take it home.
No, we didn't even get that.
Oh.
That was, all of those tastings were done, on the fly. Like, we didn't pre-taste and take notes like we do sometimes. Those were all on the fly, and he just poured us what we got, and that was that.
But those ones I know are good. But like I said, there's only like 1 or 2 that I've been really iffy about. An honorable mention that I'll probably get a bottle of if I go down to Texas this coming year isn't even a whiskey. It's not a whiskey at all. It's a distilled honey. It's called the Mellows. It's a Somel. So they take some of the honey that they harvest from Brazil, which is supposed to be one of the better honey places in the world. And then they make a mead, then they distill it, and then they age it in bourbon barrels for only 6-7 months. So not very long. And for it's the thing where I mentioned it's like whiskey in reverse, where it's like a scotch, but like backwards. Like you get like the honey note, but then you're getting the flavors of the barrel like seeping into the honey. And I was like, well, if you can do that in 6 months up here, I was like, go get an Isla barrel, a sherry barrel, and a couple other ones, and be like, just load all 3 and then start playing with it. Because I was like, you got honey note a little heavy, but then it was you got all the notes from the barrel that were in there. And I'm like, and in under a year, I'm like, and in my mind, speed wise for up here, instead of 5 years, like 6 months to 7 months, that's pretty impressive. And that's probably my honorable mention was the mellows, because that one was, like I said, it itself when you haven't is pretty good, but like the possibility is really impressive.
That's really interesting. I've never actually tried a distilled mead.
His was the first in the world when we were talking with him. Now I know there's one or two other people, but my thought on that was honey is regional due to the bees that collect it in the area and the flowers. So just like with whiskey, like every different place that has like a honey could have like a different distinct flavor to it, and like base flavor. And I'm like, wow, that's exciting. And then you find it, pick a distillery that you like that has the flavors you like out of it. Their barrel should have it. Buy two, and 6-7 months you have something interesting to release rather than waiting 2, 3, 4 years for what it is to come out. So
very cool.
But about Rumble, isn't that with honey and fig and like something?
Yeah, it's honey, turbinado sugar, and figs.
Okay, that's really nice. I've enjoyed. I've got a bottle of that. I enjoy that from time.
Yeah,
to time.
Rumble and Rumble Cask Reserve are like so underrated. Like the people that know about it love it, but it's most people don't know what it is. That they don't know what to do with it. But it's fantastic.
When does peated beer come out? Because I'm out of beer.
You got something to go do?
They delayed that because they just decided it wasn't quite ready yet.
All right. Well, I want to say thank you to everybody who stopped on and waited and held on this evening for some things. If we want to hold out for a little bit, I know Sean's going to disappear at this point.
Happy New Year, everyone. It's nice to meet everyone.
Happy New Year, Sean.
New Year.
Nice to meet you.
Which is totally fair. I'm probably going to hang out for another 5-10 minutes or so, and then I'll call it the end of the year.
He's going to take the peat monster with him.
Yeah.
I
walk home.
You know what happened. So he's going to take off at and I know it's getting close to the end, especially some of you people on the East Coast. I'm going to want you to get a chance to get back into your family, and I don't want to be the one who gets you in trouble. That's I'm not that guy. Well, at least not when I'm in person.
Well, we can't say much. Our babies are behind us.
Oh, and I still want to rub them. They're so shiny and nice and clean. I am jealous, and like I said, there could be a possibility where I talk Sherry into working our way up to Canada. I know last year in September there's a nice week in Toronto where they have the comedy festival and Oktoberfest, and I was like, just between those two things, that's all.
Oktoberfest is like 15 minutes away from us.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Now you're making it a real problem. But like I was saying, I can't thank everyone enough for stopping in tonight. And I'm sorry that if people on the Facebook chat, I wasn't expecting it not to work the way it had the last 15 times I had when you can just type it in and move forward with it. I'll be in Toronto, Brad. That's kind of the whole point. That's where it is. Sorry. That's what happens when you get to have to look at it on your phone instead of it being on the screen where it should be. It is extremely tempting. But thank you for stopping in. I appreciate you guys taking time out of your lives and having a few drinks with me this evening and giving your top 5. And I'm going to have to say that it seems like Ichor was a big winner this evening.
Hell yeah.
Yes.
You can go tell Robert. I respect everyone else's lists because I don't think there was a bad one amongst them. Not one that I would shy away from, and a couple that were pretty interesting. So cheers to Mike and Lisa, to Sarah, Josh and Gretchen, Ben and Mike. I look forward to seeing you all next year. Maybe I can pull you on again a little more individually where it's not as wide based and you have to hold on for the evening. And I apologize about that, but sorry, go ahead. I didn't mean to cut everyone else off. My bad.
But I know one thing, 2020, I'm going to sneak a bottle of that Iron Root home.
I know Brad has mentioned that you do have to sneak it into the country.
I hear that Brad will be traveling with some spirits across international lines.
I heard nothing of the
At
sort.
some point.
Trying to get the man in trouble?
I've heard,
That's how we've been able to enjoy the expression is to visit with Brad.
I think it might depend on where you cross, because I got some advice from an old neighbor about crossing through an area in the northern part of the United States, and he said I would cross at this point, and he knew what I was taking over into Canada, and it was just like, well, all right, you guys have a good trip. We'll see ya. And it's like that was kind of weird and quick. But there was a specific reason why I think he told us to cross at a certain place.
Sure. Is it terrible if I ask what spot it was? I mean, there's not a horrible bunch of people stopping.
When there's no video recording.
All right, but I did need a drink to cheers you all on New Year's Eve. So thank you for stopping in. Happy New Year. May it all treat you guys well. And I see you in the whiskey journey next year.
All right.
Cheers.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers, guys. Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year.